It's one of the worst parts of being an adult, having to pay your taxes. And boy, one boy learned that lesson early during a game of Monopoly.
Where's all your money gone, Donnie?
Taxes.
6, 9, 10, 11. Let me fix my houses.
Bug, it's okay. It's part of the game.
No, it's not.
It's not fun. It's not fun to what?
It's the worst part of the game.
Oh, it's what?
Taxes.
Just wait till he lands on Park Place. The viral video was originally found on Reddit, I believe, last week before it made its way to Twitter and blew up from there. At least little Donnie is learning early. And believe me, we could all get as many tax tips as we can. Happy to be talking about finances with our good friend, the president of Heritage Capital LLC, Paul Schatz. Good to see you again, sir.
Good to see you, buddy.
Glad to have you here. Okay, I think a big question a lot of people have is where is the U.S. economy headed? I keep seeing warning signs that maybe we're headed for a recession. I think the Fed has cut rates recently, but is this just a little lull that we're expecting, or are we really heading for another downturn?
Those are the good questions to ask,
Aren't
right?
they?
Look, so it was the longest economic expansion in the history of the country.
Yeah.
Expansions don't die of old age. They die because of excesses, because of mistakes. So I've been arguing for a couple of years. The mistakes have been made because the Fed had been raising rates,
right,
and they've been selling their assets,
yeah,
which effectively is like raising rates. So that's put a strain on people who have credit cards,
yeah,
people who have mortgages, and that's been for years. So I think the economy, we're in this mixed period. I think we're on the way to a mild recession beginning sometime in 2020. Many people won't feel it, my view. I think it will be somewhat like the post 9/11 recession, where it was over kind of quickly, and by the time you realize recession was there, we started to grow again. But clearly there are some problems. Manufacturing, a small part of our economy, is already recessing, and Europe is super weak. Asia is incredibly weak, and we are this oasis, but we won't last long like this.
Of course, a lot of people are going to look to the 401k, should they have one, to try to get themselves through this. But should we be reallocating at this point?
Look, you're a little more than halfway through the year. Regardless, if I had said I think the economy is going to accelerate and take off or collapse, it's irrelevant for your 401k. A good 4 times a year, at least twice a year, worst case once a year. Look at what your allocations, how much you have in stocks, how much you have in bonds, how much you have in cash. Assume the worst is going to come. Make sure you're comfortable with whatever that is. So if you have half in stocks and half in bonds, that's fine. Make sure you're comfortable with that. If we have a recession, average recession normally hits stocks for 30%. I think it'll be a little more mild. So let's round it down and call it 25% decline in stocks coming at some point in 2020. If you can withstand that and you're okay with that, forge ahead. If that's too much for you to withstand, then cut your allocation to stocks back a little bit. But the key is you have to hit that rebalance button on your Fidelity plan or your Vanguard plan, whomever your plan's with, because otherwise when stocks and bonds go up and down, that percentage gets a little out of whack. The key is you must rebalance.
Okay. What other sort of ripple effects, if there's a recession coming, could we maybe take advantage of? Like, what about mortgage rates?
So mortgage rates, interestingly, mortgage rates have been going down since last October. They're not as low as they were in 2016, but they're getting very close. If somehow you were asleep and forgot to refinance in 2016, 15, 14, and on the way back, you have a golden opportunity, because I think in this period of the next 6 to 12 months, you're going to see probably the lowest mortgage rates you'll see for the rest of if you're an adult, which I hope to be one day. You'll see.
So does Donnie. Well, maybe not anymore with the taxes on Monopoly.
You'll see the lowest mortgage rates you're going to see probably for decades to come. So if you haven't refinanced yet, take a look at it. And also, folks, if you have a 30-year mortgage, you can refi down to a 15-year mortgage. Let's not just throw back out at 30 years. Let's smartly do this. Look at a 15 or a 10-year mortgage. But golden opportunity there.
I mean, when you do that, sometimes you could get really nice ratios for how much of that money you're paying winds up going straight towards the principal and the interest. You can cut that down significantly.
That's right. The shorter your mortgage, the more you give to principal right out of the gate. So it's clearly in your favor. The mortgage rates are low, but shop it around. Don't just assume because I bank at Webster or at JP Morgan or whoever bank that I get the best rates. Typically, some kind of mortgage lender can be 1/8 to 1/4 point lower than traditional banks.
And that could make a big difference in the long run. Paul, those are just a couple of the topics we were able to cover. Good to see you again.
You too.
Let's
Thanks.
have you back. All right.